Yes, R1T for probably T for truck, huh? Anyway, we're going to be bulking paint protection film on the hood of this Rivian. So let's go ahead and get started on this. So some interesting things about this hood is that you can't prop the front open without the back dropping way down in, which is going to be a problem. And then on this one specifically, most of this hood sits, or most of this fender sits proud of the hood, which is kind of unfortunate. I much prefer when the hood sits proud of the fenders or the surrounding panels, and we're not going to be able to get that today. So we'll go ahead and work with that as we're going to have to here. But let's go ahead. I've got this just misted down, and we're going to go ahead and give this its final swipe, and then we'll get the material on here and get started. So I've had people tell me in the comments that this tool scares them and they think that it's scratching the paint. It's not. It doesn't. Or at least it hasn't ever, not even one time. I haven't even grabbed and it's not like I'm using this on a dirty car. This is the final prep as well. So this car is already clean. But I've never had this hurt one single car. Otherwise I would throw it in the trash. All right, and then we are using a film that's gonna need some more soap today. This is the, this is some paint protection film I just forgot the name of. This is the Falink film. So I'm just adding some extra soap with this spray bottle here. And then we want to get this material over here on the hood as quick as possible because, you know, stuff that's floating in the air likes to land on things. And we don't want that under our paint protection film. All right, let's get another mist up on here. So this piece I ended up cutting is 72 inches wide by 60 inches long. Okay, so not terrible, but we've got some fingers. It's giving us the fingers right around here. Whoa, what are you doing? Wow, that was a big old piece of something. We don't like to see that underneath the material. Okay. So we're gonna still kind of do a 4-corner tack on this because that's the way I like to do hoods, and we're gonna need to get these fingers out of here. So 72-inch roll from side to side barely leaves us with enough coverage, probably less than 1 inch on either side. So, you know, could probably go with a 60-inch roll and give yourself 76 inches or so. Might be even a little bit better. A little bit of extra material for your install. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and tack to this first fender here, on the top of this fender. Now we're going to pull from left to right a little bit, and we're going to tack to the top of this fender. Okay, there we have that now. I think most of this here should go away when we stretch towards the front. Oh, it already kind of is. Okay. That tension is just from running into the windshield here with this extra material. All right, let's go ahead and put a little stretch on this now. And what we're looking for is to get rid of most of the fingers across the front. So I'd say we're going to get rid of about half the fingers across the front and then all the fingers down this side here. So let's get a little tack solution on here. put some on the fenders or on the bumper there as well. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and go with that. That looks pretty good. Actually, I'm gonna bring it this way just a little bit more. So something like that I think looks really good. Let's get this to stick down. Okay, stretch over to this corner now. I'm gonna throw a little extra tack up in here. Up in here, up in here. All right. Stick down, stick, stick, stick. Okay, and then let's get this uncrinkled to itself here. And see how much of this we can get to stay down. Okay, we did end up with just a couple little fingers here, which will be fine. We'll be able to work with those. We're very glassed out on the front, which is nice. And then we did end up with a couple fingers here. So let's see what we can do with that. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna get my tack solution here. I'm gonna put a little bit of tack down here. And we're gonna pull on this a little bit here and see if we can't get rid of those just a little bit. Okay, so I'm just kind of swiping across that, hoping to get that to stay stuck down. You stay. We still have a little finger, but that's fine. That's manageable. So's that one. And those we're just going to live with as well. So let's get rid of some of these air pockets now. So let's see. What do you guys think? Bring these forward and then just kind of burp them out. Or send them all to the other side, apparently. Okay, now let's see. How can we get rid of these? I'm gonna lift up on this a little bit and let them come out right here, like that. Okay, I like it. I like it. And see how we've got all this here popping up? I really don't like that, but that's a product of the hood sitting lower than the fender. Okay, so let's go for getting this middle squeegeed out. And then we'll start working on these sides here, which are gonna need a little bit of work. They're gonna need some tack solution, a little bit different hood. That's gonna take a little bit different technique here. Okay, and then let's see, I'm gonna bring, I think what I wanna do is I'm gonna work all the way out to this body line right here as I'm doing this. Okay, let's push all this stuff forward now. Okay, make sure that we're up over this, or out of the recess and up over the ridge. And then let's go ahead and work all the way over to this body line now. Okay, so that we're all the way to this body line. I leave some water right here, just a tiny bit. So I'm always checking, scanning the surface for any moisture or anything left behind. Let's go ahead and bring this all the way out to the front here. And we need to make sure that we're not pre-tacking here so that we have somewhere for all this moisture to go. So good overlapping strokes, about 50-50. Okay, and then let's make sure that this whole front is all the way down. So that's as good as we're gonna be able to get around the headlight for now. And honestly, I don't know. I almost wish this was open, but you know, who knows? Who knows which would have been the better way, because this is what we got now. So I'm gonna just bring this stuff over towards me here. A little bit of pre-tacking there, so I'm just shaking the film around a little bit to help get rid of that. Let's take all this up and out the back. Okay. Now let's take all this stuff forward. Okay, now we need to get down into this recess. So with this black squeegee, I'm having to push pretty hard on the material. So if you have a material that scratches easily, and not scratches, if you have a material that marks easily, then what you'd want to do is switch over to something that's a little bit softer, like one of the red ones, because this is a 90 durometer and this is an 80, and the 80 will flex in there much better and leave less possibility of scratching the material. And I don't mean surface scratches, I mean like scoring the material so that you have to throw it away. There's a scratch that you can leave in paint protection film like that. It basically turns like a white line and you can't get rid of it. Okay, let's make sure we're lifted up here. Okay, good. Okay, and I'm just kind of double checking all this area, make sure I got it squeezed out really good. And then I am going to just kind of scan the lights over the hood here, make sure we're not leaving anything behind that we're not going to be able to squeegee out. Once it's dry, everything's looking really good. Now let's start working on these sides here. So I'm definitely going to need to get out my tack solution for this, which would be over here on the chair. Okay, and let's see, how do we want to handle this? So we can lift up all the way back to that body line there, and just make sure that this is not pre-tacking. Now let's make sure that we did not just blow any soapy water over that body line. Everything's looking really good. Okay, let's think for a second here. I think what we're gonna wanna do is start squeegeeing this way and then do a bunch of swipe and holds, especially in this area here with the finger. We're gonna wanna swipe and hold these edges. So let's actually kind of start in the middle here. And then we'll work our way up. And then these areas that are just really not wanting to stay down, we're gonna have to work on those now. Okay, so let's get this squeegeed out. Oh, we have a finger right here, and I don't really like that guy. Let's see, is there anything we can do about that? Maybe I can pull back on this material just enough to sneak some tack into that. Okay, and I did pull that back too, so I'm going to push that down, and then I'm going to swipe and hold this little finger here that was popping up on this edge. Okay, we're going to have some more little fingers here, so let's get some tack into those. And then down to that edge and over, and swipe and hold. And actually I might be able to get that to go directly down to the headlight a little bit and help that to stick down, or whatever you want to call this light out here. So we're going to do swipe and hold here though. I really want this to stay stuck down right now and not pop back up into the hood area. Okay, that's looking good. Little finger here. Swipe and hold on that one. Okay, we'll keep checking those areas, make sure they're staying down like we want them to. All right, let's fill this whole area up with tack solution now. Okay, so we're gonna push this, start pushing this out, break that finger up a little bit, and then we'll swipe and hold right here. And then we'll just keep doing these swipe and holds until this whole area is down. You can see this material is tucking in between the two, and that will actually usually benefits us. Okay, so let's double check now. We need to make absolutely certain that we didn't leave anything in here, because we've got a bunch of tack solution in there. Okay. All right, now let's deal with this area here. So we do not want this to pop loose here, because that will relieve the tension that's here, and then that's going to leave a distortion in the adhesive for sure. So let's fill this with tack solution. Okay. Mist on top there. And then let's go ahead and start squeegeeing this out and bringing this to the edge. Same thing here, we're squeegeeing over the edge and holding. Swipe and hold. Swipe and hold. Okay, I'm gonna hold that down with my finger. I'm gonna do a swipe and hold right here as well. Now what we want to do is get this unstuck here and get this stuff tucked in between the two. So let's start back here. We'll get that tucked in. And let's come down a little. Oop, oop, oop. We don't want that though, because that has the possibility of leaving distortions. Okay, maybe that's not gonna work. Okay, let's not disconnect this part here yet, because that did cause this to pop up and we don't want that. Let's try resticking this part, and then let's pop up here and try to get this part tucked in. So I'm gonna hold this down. I'm gonna tuck all this in. This is kind of funky a little. Okay. It's just like extra things you have to do when the fender is sitting proud of the hood. Okay, let's pull this up just a little bit more. Get a little tack in here, on that very edge in there. And we'll stick that down like that. And we're gonna have to just continue to come back and kind of check on these areas and make sure that we're not getting any fingers out into our hood, because those fingers again will leave distortions in the adhesive and we don't want that. Okay, so everything here is looking good. Everything's staying down. We're still up around the headlight a little bit here, but we will work on that here in just a little bit. More important is that we get these areas here on the sides taken care of. Okay, let's pop this back. We're doing really good on the pre-tacking here. There's not really much tension on this, so pre-tacking is not really being a problem, which is great. All right. Same thing, we're just going to squeegee this out. Okay, so we do have a finger here in the front, so let's see what we can do with that before we get all this totally squeegeed out. So lots of tack in there. I'm gonna put just a little bit of tension on this edge here and try to get it to kind of lay down a little flatter. Okay, and then let's swipe and hold over that edge. And then we'll go ahead and swipe and hold this bottom edge as well. So honestly, I think if I was to do this again, I would go ahead and prop this hood open and deal with the back popping up so that the rest of this was like normal, or how I normally do hoods. So to start over, because then this wouldn't be popping up, we wouldn't be having these issues here potentially, especially in this area here around the headlights. That wouldn't be popping up because we'd have the tension downward on it. I think that would be easier, but it would be more difficult back there, but I think that would be manageable. If I ever get another one of these in here, we'll give that a shot. Okay, lots of tack in here. Okay. And then we'll go ahead and bring this over. Okay, swipe and hold. All the same stuff here. Just trying to get all this to stay down. Okay, and then I'm gonna go ahead and pull this up a little bit here, because I know that we weren't getting any pre-tacking really, which means this edge is not gonna be really stuck down that well. So let's get a bunch of tack in there and then let's get this edge stuck down really well. Okay. See how we're looking here. Got a little bit coming up right here. I don't Let's see if we can shoot a little tack up into there. Okay. Okay, that's looking good. Now let's take care of this top corner here. I don't think I need my booster anymore. All right, plenty of tack in there now. Some slip on top. And let's go ahead and see what we can do for getting this side down now. You know, okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go ahead and trim off some of this material here like this. I really want to lift this whole thing off and tuck this piece of film down into that right there. So let's go ahead and get this stuff down, and then I'm gonna go ahead and swipe down into this recess here, and we're gonna go ahead and pop this loose. And then we're just gonna hold there for just a moment, not too long, because we've got a little bit popping up right there. And I've got a tiny piece of contamination in the material right there. So let's get that out. It's very minor. Okay, and then let's get this back down now. But since it was right on the edge, we might as well get it. Okay, so I like this better than the other side. I think the other side has too much tension on it, and it's going to continue to want to pop up while I leave this to sit and dry. So now let's go ahead, dry this off. We're just checking this whole area here for any moisture that might be left behind, and that's looking really good. Let's go back over here now. Let's take a look at what we've got here. And now that we've had some time for tack solution to dry in here, let's go ahead and break this whole thing loose. And actually, before we do that, let's do the same thing here, just to be certain that none of this tension here is coming from over on that side. Okay. So just popping it off of the fender, making sure we've got nothing but tack in there. Then we're going to go ahead and tuck this in. Okay, I do like that better. Swipe and hold on this edge. Okay. All right, so let's figure out around these headlights now. And I think what we're going to be able to do here, so first we've got this bottom edge which has kind of been popping up this whole time, not fully stuck down, so I'm going to throw some tack solution in there, and then we're going to get this squeegeed out over closer to this headlight. And that should start drying now and keeping itself stuck down. And get some tack in here around this headlight. Okay, then we'll go ahead and push this out. And I'm gonna lift up on this and give some more just feed some material into this recess here. Okay, now let's make sure we've got everything squeegeed out here. We don't want to be leaving any moisture behind. Okay, that's looking pretty good now. I like that. Okay, so over here, it looks like we were sticking a bit better. Yep, okay. Let's go ahead and deal with this headlight now. Much tack in there. Missed. And then we'll go over that edge, hold, and then let's feed some material up into here again. So let's get it off of this headlight. You can see, I mean, that's all I'm basically doing is getting it unstuck from the headlight and letting it feed into back in there. Okay, let's make sure that when we do this final pass here to squeegee all this down, that is getting out all the moisture. Okay, that looks good. Check our edges here, make sure everything is staying down. I'm gonna feed just a little bit more material up into this here. I feel like this is a little bit tighter than the other side is. There we go. Okay, I just crammed, well, I don't know, it doesn't really want to do it. So let's do this actually. Let's see what something like this would look like if we just kind of tore the material right here. Be very careful when you're doing this. Don't send that going the wrong direction or you'll be in trouble. Okay. Let's see now if that wants to tuck in here a little bit more. And it does. Okay. So we did get the material to feed back in there a little bit more, and that'll help keep tension on that edge. I've got a little finger right here, which was also there earlier, and we pushed it down, but it still wants to come up just a tiny bit. And it's super minor. So I mean, really, it's not. I'm gonna work with it or work on it, but I could live with it if it didn't want to change. If it was like, nope, I'm staying here. It's so minor and it's so on the edge that it's not going to really be a problem for us. Okay, let's check this edge. All right. Okay. Looking good. So this whole tucking this stuff in, we could, you eliminate that problem when the hood is sitting proud of the fender. And so I think next time, I don't know, it's tough. It's a really tough decision to make because right here, you were gonna have like this whole area that was not sticking to the paint because it's gonna be stuck here. And then this whole area was gonna be open. And that seemed like a big problem. I mean, you could squeegee out, push way down in there, and then pop this up, but then you're also gonna relieve tension all in here. I don't know, it'd be nice to try it the other way, although honestly, when I rethink about that, I'm like, I don't know if that would work at all really well. And that's why I decided originally to go with this, because I was like, that other way looks pretty risky. And this seems like a lot of work, but less risky. Okay. Let's go ahead and trim this out and push this all down right now. Let's get ourselves a brand new blade. Snip, just the tip. All right, so I think what we can do is just kind of keep its shape here and do a little something like this. Okay. Let's see, do we think we're gonna need tack in there to start, or you think, I think I'm going to try just using slip in there, and I'm gonna try running my finger around this like this. And then I'll come back this way. We'll kind of meet down here in the bottom and try to push that out. Okay, now, so all that is down, but we do need to get all the moisture out of it now. Okay. Just filling in there with my finger for any moisture left behind. All right, let's go ahead and dry this off now so I can check everywhere and make sure that we're not leaving any moisture on top of the hood. Let's take one more look at this. You could also have just let that sit there and dry like that for a while longer. If you're real slippery, that would have been a good idea, but since we weren't, we were fine just to go ahead and get right to trying to get this out of here. Because you don't want to obviously trim this and then have this like start to stretch back or anything, especially if any of this area out here is loose. That could definitely be a problem. Okay, that looks great. All right, so there you have it. That is the process of getting the paint protection film onto the hood. And then we'll go ahead and let this dry for a bit, and then we'll come back, start trimming this, and then we'll let that completely dry, and then we'll wrap those edges. So I'll see you guys back in a little bit. All right, let's go ahead and get this material trimmed around these edges and then wrapped underneath. So this is pretty dry. We'll see if it's completely dry once we trim the edges and get it opened up. Okay, just be really careful when you're popping this up that you don't pop it off up into the hood area that's stuck down. You can see I'm keeping tension on it away from the tip of my blade. And I'm running my finger across the hood edge, which helps me keep a nice straight line. Well, it doesn't have to be real straight. It just has to be not crazy jagged or anything. Okay.
Easy.
All right, let's go ahead and continue here. All right, now for the rest of this, I'd really like to get this popped up off the side here, and then open this hood up so that we can go ahead and trim the rest of this here. This thing looks terrible, doesn't it? It's almost better, I think, though. Had a tiny split in my finger right there, so I find if I just keep a band-aid on it for like a bunch of days in a row and keep some Neosporin in there, that those splits will heal up. Otherwise I'm gonna have that all winter, and I don't want a crack in my thumb all winter. But seriously, it's surprising how quick those band-aids, you know, will look pretty bad. I mean, that one was from, it lasted overnight, was sleeping, so that one was on there for a little while. All right, let's get this popped up though. Down these edges here on both sides. Again, I'm just being really careful not to pop this off into the hood, because that will leave a mark in the adhesive, no question about that. Okay, let's get this open now. We're gonna need the key for that. No, don't reclose. There we go. Okay. I kind of forgot that it does it by itself. Don't open by yourself. Stop it. Okay, let's go ahead and trim these sides now. Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead right here and we're gonna do, well, let's see with this. Well, we need to cut the middle out first so we can get this hood to open up all the way, and then we'll be able to see our access to these corners. Okay, let's tear that off right there for now. Oh man. Okay, so let's see. You know, that doesn't give us great access to these corners, so I'm gonna go ahead and trim these corners off a little bit. So we're basically gonna do this corner here. We'll kind of start like this. Actually, being down a little bit more will probably be helpful. It's kind of getting, okay. Let's see, the problem with like everywhere the knife, it wants to bump into everything. So let's do like this here. Like just keep slipping off, but just keep refining my line and start back up. Okay. All right. So I've got a great little edge there. Then now we'll come back and it'll start to wrap again at this point. So let's get the rest of this cut off. Okay, now do also note that in here there is rubber that's going to need to be pulled back all the way around in order to get this wrapped in there, which just adds a little bit of extra work to that. Let's go ahead and trim this corner here. So we'll go straight out from there. And we'll cut around this corner here. And then through there. Okay, and then let's do the same thing here on these corners here, because of this rubber, the melt method isn't going to work real good. Although we're going to have to heat it up here too. Yeah, let's trim some more of these corners here. I'm even considering these ones, but we'll see on those ones. But definitely on these ones that are, 90 degrees, or those back ones which are way more than even 90 degrees. Perfect. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and spray out these edges, and then we'll just let this completely sit and let it completely dry. There's still quite a bit of moisture in these edges. Okay, and then I am gonna do a couple swipe and holds here just to make sure that this stuff is all staying down. Basically kind of like a pre-wrap. There's a couple areas that look like it doesn't want to, that's not fully stained down, and we don't want it popping up out here on the face so it doesn't leave any distortions. Okay. Just double checking these edges here, because we did have a lot of fingers that we had to work with And we just want to make sure that none of those decide that they want to pop up into the hood area now that they don't have the tension on them, holding them down. Okay. Let that dry out and we'll be back for the wrapping. All right, let's go ahead and wrap these edges. The car's pretty high up because it's on the ramp still, and it doesn't want to drive off the ramps. It doesn't want to move with the hood open. So rather than just trying to figure out how to make it do what I want it to do, I'm just going to do what it wants to do, which is get the hood closed. So let's go ahead and get this done and get this thing off the ramps. So we're just going to warm up these edges and we're going to wrap them under. Now the thing that we're going to do is we're going to put some heat on these. And then we have to set the heat gun down. Actually, let's see if we can leave it running. And then I'm going to have to pull back on this and wrap these edges in. Not really working that good. This rubber does not want to just pull back real easy. Let's see, can we tuck? All right, there we go. Once you get the rubber, once you get this underneath there, then we should be able to basically kind of chomp this stuff down. So let's go ahead and roll this, and then we'll go ahead and chomp this down, because once this is underneath there, it's tight. It's really tight. I'm guessing you could probably just take this thing off, although this is going to work pretty well also. So let's bring this down a little. Make sure that we're rolled over this edge onto basically the bottom of the hood, and then we'll go ahead and continue to roll this under. And some of this, you can even use this to pull this back and get your finger in there. Wow, that's really tight. I wonder what it takes to get these off. Because honestly, it might be good. I mean, this front one seems like it's much more pliable. The one down the side is very rigid. Okay, I want to get the corner here first, and then we'll work away from that. Okay. Let's get this corner down and work back towards the middle. And then these corners here that we cut are working great. So just rounded the edge with them, you know, made that turn, and then cut that film straight off. Those corners are working fantastic on this vehicle. So I wonder what the back will be like. I wonder if we can just wrap that around, or if it's going to be difficult like the sides, or if it'll be a little bit easier like the front, or maybe there's no rubber in the way at all, and it'll just roll on back like a regular vehicle. Actually, I'm just going to start rolling this. This rubber is going to hold this down. I'm not going to heat this up. We will heat back up when we get to the corners here though. Okay, I'm just kind of, probably, we'll heat this up too. It's like impossible to do any of this stuff with a heat gun in your hand. Let's warm this up and then set the heat gun down, huh? So I'm first just going to get this rolled over just a little bit here. There we go. Take care of this corner first, and then we'll start rolling this. Okay, let's warm this up again. You know, it's not very often that a vehicle gets, you know, that you change your installation techniques with a vehicle. So this is interesting today. And don't get me wrong, you have to make little alterations, but as far as wrapping a hood, this is like normally something that you don't mess with much. But today, this one's got things changing a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to roll it over to make sure we're around at least to the side, if not a little bit to the bottom. And then we'll get this in there and we'll do these chomps again. Pull down this, get that guy in there. I mean, literally, this is the first time I've ever used a technique like this to roll a hood. So sometimes you got to figure it out as you go. Okay, now let's see if we can just work down the opposite direction here. Got some paint not on it right there. It's also got some paint not on it right there. I noticed. Okay, well, we got all that under. Now let's see what the back is like. Awesome. The back is just like any regular back of a hood. Just gonna, or even like it's like the normally on the sides, it's just gonna roll right under. There's plenty of space. That's great. All right. Let's go ahead, get this corner, push down, basically just heat sealing that, and then we'll go ahead and start wrapping this. Okay, fantastic. Let's get this corner now heat sealed, and then we'll wrap all the rest of this. feels like it got folded over a little bit right there in the middle. So I'm gonna have to probably pick that back up. Let me go see here. I don't know. I don't know how we're gonna get to that, really. Oh, good. There's a little edge that is still a little bit popped up. Sweet. Okay, so I'm just picking that. I'm basically getting the tool underneath there and pulling like straight down to break that loose. Now we're gonna roll that. There it is. Okay, there we go. So obviously when I was going this way or when I was going that way, I don't know, I got it like basically folded over on itself before it rolled over. And so it was a little bit folded up on itself, so I had to get rid of that. Otherwise, when it's closed, you're gonna be able to see that part like kind of sticking down. You know, it wasn't gonna look good. All right, let's put this back on, huh? This whole thing was covered in double sticky tape. It's really stuck on there. It was tough to get off. All right, there we go. Sliding back up. It's got two spots that go through the hood there to line it up, so it should be pretty hard to screw up. All right, well, good times. That's the process of installing paint protection film on the hood of this 2025 Rivian R1T. So I appreciate you guys taking a look at this video. If you found anything helpful, please give a thumbs up. If you like this type of content and would like to see more, subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one.